for YouTube, that it's not that anybody's going to watch it per se, but just in case someone missed it, they can see the exciting things we do here. Jay, did you want to do your housekeeping items?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Welcome all. A couple of land use things I just thought I'd let you know about. The Subaru dealership at the corner of Grand and Burnside has asked the city for permission for some, they're redoing their signage. So they're pretty much putting stuff in the same place it was before. Some of it's painted on the building, some of it's attached, and they're just, they're adding some gooseneck lamps as well to the site. So small potatoes, and I don't think anything that any of us would find controversial. This one, however, is something indeed. This is some folks who are going for a new 4-story mixed-use apartment building, including an outdoor plaza and a renovation of an existing 1-story warehouse building at 7th and East Burnside. So the lobby will face front onto Burnside. I'm sorry, the ground floor retail will front onto Burnside and the residential lobby will face onto 7th. So that's a pretty big ass project there. And they're also going to include an outdoor dining area for the 1-story warehouse building. So that's kind of a biggie. And just
where Burnside Brewery was?
I don't quite know. I haven't gone by there, Michael, to check out the site itself. I can sort of vaguely visualize it, but I'm not positive.
Wait, which corner is this on?
Northeast. Corner of 7th and Grand. I'm sorry,
Grand.
7th.
Burnside.
Burnside.
Sorry, and I guess is it northeast, or like what side of 7th and Burnside are we talking about?
Northeast.
Northeast. Okay, so where Demo's a Pizza is right now, which is I think some of the best pizza in the city.
Really?
Yeah, it's so good.
Okay, let me see if I can find any more info to tell you about. It's Convergence Architecture. Oh, it's a Kevin Kavanaugh project. It's a guerrilla development project. So it's a pretty good size one. So he'll be adding to his little thing down there at the base of the Burnside Bridge, basically. Anyway, there's that. Our balance in our checking account is pretty much identical. I got a little kind of worried letter last week from the credit union saying that they were worried about fraud because there had been a withdrawal of $7 from her account, and they were concerned about it. And I hustled over there. It was like, no, it's just the Canvas host fee. Relax, And so
that's weird that would trigger that for them.
And the letter was like, contact us yesterday because this is a major screw up. And I was like, okay, well, they're ripping us off for $7. They're mild thieves. In any event, it was no big deal. We still have a balance of just over $6,000. The only other thing I have to update on, and this is very exciting, was as you know, we've been trying to keep making some progress with information about banners and signage to help make the neighborhood more visible. And I finally got through to some people who could give me some information about, I don't know if anyone's seen the banners on Hawthorne.
Mm-hmm.
There's 42 of them. They're pretty snappy looking. They're like a heavy duty canvas with a stencil. The logo says, "Welcome to Hawthorne." It's got a stylized bridge. I found out from one of the people yesterday that I talked to, an ex-president of the Business Association, that it's the only street in the United States that starts on one end and with a drawbridge and ends on the other end with the volcano and touches in 5 separate neighborhood associations along the way. So that was kind of interesting. But in any event, I got some really good support from a lady named Julia Hampfling, who's a retired nutritionist who was the ex-president of the Hawthorne Business Association. There is no Hawthorne Neighborhood Association, in part because it goes through all these different neighborhoods along the way, but they spearheaded this about 1.5 years ago. And she gave me some great information, including she's putting a package together for me in the next 2 days that's going to include the woman who did the design, the man who helped them get it manufactured, and also their process with, it turns out that they had a variety of poles that they wanted to attach it to in terms of up and down the boulevard. And some of them are owned by PG&E, which is pretty much glad to let you do it. and some of them are owned by the city, which charges, regardless whether it's one pole or 50, a flat $118 a year for a permit to attach things to them. So this is exactly the kind of helpful information and more specific numbers and stuff that we're looking for. So I am, I want to encourage everybody to get over to Hawthorne sometime and take a peek, because these look pretty good to me. I've been sort of focused on the metal ones because I think if they're, they'd be more substantial. But this amount of research I've done before has also showed that the cost is going to be astronomically higher. And also the installation is going to be much more complex. These things are installed in Hawthorne with small metal. They're almost like the kind of brackets you would have for a flagpole, that there's two of them, and then PVC pipe that comes out of it that holds it stiffly at a 40, a perpendicular angle to the pole. And they look pretty sturdy. She said they've had almost no problems with maintenance or anything related to them. So this is all kind of exciting. So as soon as I get more of that information from her and the other woman that she was going to help me with or refer me to, I'll just email everybody about this, because I think this is something we might be able to sort of now, the biggest problem is going to be, I would say, coming up with a consensus. Do we want to use the Kerns logo that we've used before on things like the bags and Dave's hat and the street painting, or do we want to come up with something else that we think is a more archetypal image for the neighborhood, whatever that may be? But this woman said that the longest part of their process was agreeing on which image to use. So with that said, I'm sort of excited because I feel like I've been nibbling at this for some time, and I've gotten all sorts of well, we don't know, or so-and-so did it, but they're not involved anymore. And now this woman, even though she's an ex-president of the business association, she was the president when they did this project. And she has assured me that she not only will provide me with more information, but that I can call her anytime and ask for questions and support and stuff. So I just wanted to share that because that's definitely promising. She also said that they was able to get a grant from Venture PDX to pay for about half of it. So I'm not sure whether they're a business thing. We're a neighborhood association. I'm not sure whether we can qualify for that, but I'm going to look into that right away. And I'm hoping that maybe between that, certainly some of the money that maybe we can get from, I can't think of his name right now, the American property management guy who said he would pay for 25% of whatever we were doing to try and bring the neighborhood to more visibility, whether it was the arch or whether it was these banners or all of the above. I'm thinking that, again, we're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars, we're talking about thousands of dollars, and that this is between our savings and some support from the community and whatever grant we can get for that, we can go for this and just get it done, as soon as possible. Another thing she suggested, which was very interesting, was that despite the pandemic times, it is getting warmer, and maybe we should consider for the early summer or midsummer some version of a kickoff event. So whether it's, we're going to unveil the banners and we're going to have some sort of gathering, and maybe we'll talk about earthquake proofing, or she said, pick some topic that's relevant beyond just here we are and here's what we're about. Maybe tie it into some other thing that might be concern to people in the neighborhood. But in any event, I feel like something has been kind of stalled and grinding its wheels for a while. I think maybe it's starting to move forward with a little bit more grease now, and I'm excited about that.
Jay, that's awesome.
Great job.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you expecting to put the banners up?
That's exactly one of the things we have to decide as well, because we're bounded by whatever it is, the freeway and Burnside, from the down at the close to the river up until 32nd or whatever it is there. And so clearly some of that would be good on, but I think throughout the neighborhood, not just, we want to identify, because again, one of the biggest problems is we've got this historically important, viable, interesting neighborhood that's been kind of overshadowed by the larger, bigger Laurelhurst. Dave was talking the other day, we were talking about how there's a bunch of businesses in Kerns that are called Laurelhurst, whatever. And granted, it's a sexier, more poetic sounding sort of word, but it's just Kerns sort of just like Rodney Dangerfield, don't get no respect. And we're trying to figure out ways to just identify that it is in fact a longstanding physical neighborhood that we take pride in, and it's here and here and here and here. So that's the kind of thing that we will definitely be, I don't have any fixed opinions about. I think wherever people could go, hey, this might be a great corner, or this intersection, or this here. They put up 42 of them throughout the Hawthorne district, so to speak.
Wow. I want to do a share screen if that's okay, just to kind of remind everyone the Kerns neighborhood, and just for reference, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Kerns. So, I mean, all the way up from Burnside, all the way to 32nd. So, and then Sandy. Along Sandy and Burnside are the main ones, and then 28th. There's kind of this golden triangle here, where that would be good. And also there's the bridge by Benson High School, where you come over from Lloyd Center right here, and then over here you come across the 84. There's a lot of great locations we could put them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe the picnic, if we're going to have it, would be a good place to show off prototype signs or things like that.
Sure.
Cool.
Sure. I don't think that this is, we're going to rush into it after taking our, being forced to take our time for so long. But I just feel like I'm getting some more supported information about this is how we did it. This is how much it costs. This is how we facilitated it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, great. That's exactly the kind of support we need.
Yeah. That's
And
great that you found that.
And of course, the budget will help dictate how many banners we can put up and where we would put them at that point. So that could be something we figure out at a later point.
Sure,
But
sure. But I think, I don't know that much about, personally about the thing, but printing stuff, but I know that from stuff I've been involved with before, at a certain point, the more you do, it's cheaper. It doesn't make it any more expensive or anything. It's like once they've set it up, it's relatively cheap to go from 50 to 60 or 60 to 100 or whatever. It's the cost is just in the material you're using, and the ink isn't that much more expensive. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
There's some kind of sweet spot between. It's as expensive to print 25 T-shirts as it is to print 100. Basically.
All right, we'll get 5,000 of these banners then.
So that's all I had on that. Thank you for the time.
I think that's great. And, we should just keep honing in on the details. I just had an idea to create a custom, it's easy to go to Google and create a custom map. And then we can start, we're probably going to want to start literally choosing very specific places on the map, because that's one of the problems, is that there's so many details to work out that we have to just keep pushing on the details, like every single location, and then exactly which pole, and then who owns the pole, and how do we pay them. And yeah, so I love that information you had, Jay, but we should at least maybe have a spreadsheet and with different information. And that's part of the problem, is we have all these great projects, but you got to push it all the way to the very, very, very end to make it a real thing. So I don't know. We just have to keep pushing. So great job. Let's just keep doing that.
Along those lines, while we're talking about placemaking, would now be a good time just for a brief update on the gates, as I'm calling them now.
Yeah, definitely. That is on the on our agenda.
There's not much to share this time. It's pretty brief. So I shared the updated idea with all the people the people that I talked to at RAC and the people at the city about them being more gates instead of a bigger arch, and they were all excited about it. And all of them were like, "Well, that sounds much more feasible." So that sounds great. I also applied for the PSU Better Block program to potentially get a grant for that. PSU, one of the graduate classes, could help us with this project. Again, that's up in the air, and that would be, I'll find out this week actually if we get if they select our project or not. I think it's like a little bit of a long shot, but doesn't hurt to apply. And if they do select our project, then that would be something that would go talk to them about, and they would kind of help us go through the whole city and figure out fundraising. They kind of, the whole thing is to see a project from beginning to end. So it could be a good opportunity, but if we don't get that, then there are other opportunities out there. So there's not much more to update other than that. A couple of people actually, I can't remember the guy's name from the city, actually emailed me because he was specifically saying, I'm really excited about this project. I can't wait to make this, help you guys make this work. So that is kind of the good news, is that people are, for whatever reason, they're responding positively to it. So still in the very early stages, of course. The banners are gonna come much before this, but it's always good to have a big goal as well.
That's wonderful. Have you thought much more about the design?
I have not. So if that's something we want to talk about, we absolutely could. You know, I have, in the last month, I had those kind of various options of just kind of what generally they look like. They could look like. It is very loose, and I think maybe as we get a little bit further down this process, then it might be worth it to have a few designers or artists kind of come up with some general ideas, and we can start there. If anyone's feeling passionately about talking to artists or talking to designers about this, that would be great. If you want to take that initiative. Otherwise, I feel like for me, it'll come a little bit later down this process. I've also been super busy professionally, so I'm just kind of trying to find the time here and there to make this work.
If we would go to talk to artists, what is it? What are the parameters?
And that's a good question. And that's partially, I think, why we've not done that yet, is because we don't know what kind of materials the city will approve. And I feel like that's kind of a first thing to get information about is general. I mean, cost is obviously going to be a big barrier here, but also the materials and the location will also dictate what the design would look like.
Okay.
So if we get a better idea of location or locations that the city is okay with, then that could give us an opportunity to say, hey, the city says 28th and Burnside is a great spot for an arch over each of the sidewalks there. And it needs to, it can't be this, it has to be this wide and this tall, and it's got to be metal or something. Then we could say to an artist, a metalworking person, what do you got? Like that one on the bottom right here that as Dave is doing this, the one on the bottom right, I think is probably like a simpler, the cheapest of these designs, or even the one on the left there, but something like that. That obviously the top right there is quite dramatic, maybe a little more Laurelhurst than Kerns, but Kerns feels a little more artsy.
Yeah.
Is that one that you like with the one on the bottom right? Does that not remind other people of Dachau or one of the concentration camps? I mean,
I had not thought that, but if that is something that is reminding people of that, then we obviously wouldn't want that to.
That's what I see every time I see it. So I didn't know if it was kind of just me or if other people see that as well.
I'm a descendant of concentration camp victims, and that didn't come to my mind at all.
Okay.
And I think an artist would. I'm sensitive to what you're saying, but I'm thinking that there's more design parameter there. It could be pretty wonderful, I think.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be, I mean, I think that I don't even know the level of, or the amount of parameters we're going to have until we really talk to the city and they tell us exactly what this is how this can work. But I think, of course, this project will be collaborative and we'll get everybody's input. So if for some reason it is reminiscent of something that is triggering for people, that would be the last thing we'd want to do. This is supposed to be welcoming and fun and, kind of really placemaking.
Daniel, I would think this would be totally up the alley for funding from RAC 2 in terms of public art.
Yeah. So RAC, who did I speak with at RAC? I spoke with a couple people at RAC and they were both like, this is a great idea. They were a little bit overwhelmed at the time with something else, but they said, like, let's keep in touch about this. We think we can find some ways of funding for this. So it's definitely not going to be cheap, and I'm aware of that, but it does seem like a project people are excited about. So I feel confident to keep going.
Beautiful.
Yeah, did you see these totem poles from Jameson Square? Can you see this?
Yeah, Jameson Square downtown.
There are these totem poles here. That's another thing that comes to mind. I don't know if I'm capturing it here. Yeah, these ones here. That's another type of the similar kind of thing that you see around Portland. So
And that might be, and the city may say to us, that's even better. Something like that would be better. It's still a placemaking object, a piece of art, but it would be better because there's not any sort of, what am I trying to say? There's no
overhang.
Overhang. Yeah, exactly. So if that works, great. I think it's.
I love what you're saying about placemaking. I think that's the key word, is that we want Kerns, like right now you're like, Kerns, and they're like, where is that? I can't quite place it. And you're like, yeah.
I just had a wacky thought. Have you ever been to, there's different museums around the world that I've been to that out on their lawn or somewhere on their property, they have huge letters that like spell out the city that it's in. And they're made out of metal or stone or whatever. And I was, maybe this is completely off the wall, but wouldn't that be a trip if we could have some like, the 5 letters of Kerns in some giant, 10-foot letters along some part of the route somewhere?
Yeah. Take advantage of the short name.
Yeah.
You can't do that with Laurelhurst.
Right.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I did. You're making me laugh here because when I lived in LA for a long time and I did a project, I lived in a neighborhood that no one knew about there called Historic Filipino Town. And one summer when I was underemployed, I built these 5-foot tall letters and went over to an abandoned lot across the way and put the signs Historic Filipino Town all over.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
You'll have to share a picture sometime.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find one.
No, this is great. I do think placemaking is a key word here. I mean, we have an amazing neighborhood. Every day I'm just amazed at what a great neighborhood we have on so many levels. The people and the businesses and the organizations. We have the headquarters of the Democratic Party of Oregon in Kerns, and they get vandalized a lot, unfortunately, but that's a pretty powerful organization. And probably the governor and the senators stop by there, and that's just one of many obvious places.
We've got the Mackenzie River Gathering, the oldest, most liberal foundation in the country, maybe.
Where's that?
Certainly in Oregon. It's just a half a block west of, what's that record store it's like between 28th and 27th on Sandy, on the corner there, next to the children, that building that's for sale now.
Everyday Music.
Everyday Music, or yeah.
Yeah, so just to the left of there, about half block in one of the older buildings is the home of MRG, which is a very, very unique organization.
Wow. Crazy. There's so many cool things in Kerns that even we don't all know about. I'm going to share my screen again. I think I Googled it, and is it this place? Mackenzie, no, that's Mississippi. Never mind. Mackenzie River Gathering Foundation.
Yep.
I don't know. It's showing them in Mississippi.
Maybe they moved again.
Did they move away?
They might have.
But in any case, it's fine. But yeah, I do think that there's a lot of opportunities here for Kerns. So let's see. Joe, well, did we want to say anything more about the arches? Next steps on that, Daniel?
Well, sorry, I didn't mute myself. I was looking. I just put the picture of that silly Historic Filipino Town sign in the chat if anybody's curious.
Oh, okay.
It's very silly.
I don't see it in the chat. Oh,
Whatever's easiest. It's okay.
Oh, there it is. That's cool.
It's a very silly thing. It's so silly. But as far as the next steps for the gates, I'm going to wait. I'll find out on Friday if we get that, if we're part of the PSU Better Block program. And if we are, excuse me, I'll send out an email to everybody and let everybody know about that. And that will help dictate the next steps. That's kind of what the graduate students take on, is kind of helping to formulate the process. If that doesn't go through, then I'm going to go back to RAC and see what they suggest for the next steps, because they seem to know best what's going on here. The guy that I've been talking to at the city is really stoked about it. It's RAC and PBOT are kind of the two people that are the two organizations that are going to help formulate the plan here. So
Great.
I'll keep everybody posted.
Great job. Should we move to Josie and the postcards?
Sure. As I've mentioned before, I applied for the communication grant, and I'm actually waiting to hear back from them to see, what we get. I also mentioned the cost of the Zoom account, the MailChimp account for upgrades. So I don't know yet. I'm waiting to hear back. But if they happen to fund any of that, that would be great. And we can kind of go from there.
But we just remember, we did approve funding from our bank account for anything that they don't fund.
I do remember that, but I'm trying to get something from them first.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand. But this is another one of those things that we just, there's so many details, but we got to keep pushing on those details.
Well, I'll know coming April, because that's their timeline, so.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for doing that. Should we talk about the design of the postcard some more, or the last one I saw looked really cool, but I don't know.
I
if
haven't
there's
done anything else on
Okay.
it, but I put a QR code in it, and that's all I've done so far.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That person that was there last month made that suggestion, and I thought that was good. And I feel like I haven't heard from her. I reached out to her, but I'm glad that you incorporated that into it.
Well, yeah, that was a good suggestion. I didn't, appreciate kind of, the upstaging thing in a meeting. I don't think that's the right way to approach anyone, but,
Yeah, it's hard when you get new people and they just kind of appear. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, if you don't mind, if people don't mind. Sometimes it's interesting to look at visuals rather than just everyone's face, which is also good. So this is, I believe, the most recent one that I saw.
Yeah, that's the most recent one you saw. There's now a QR code in it too, though. Is that, I can't remember. Is that the
no, I never saw that, but that's okay.
Oh,
But this is
okay.
the gist of it. I mean, I feel like this is super close. I mean, it just, it gives people a basic introduction, what we do, who we are, ways to connect. And we do want to, I think we can simplify this somewhat, but I think
if we could take out some copy, I would have more room,
Yeah, but I think we could remove maybe a couple of these, but I mean, for the most part, we mostly want to get them to go to the website, I think. But
Yeah,
also,
that's what the QR code does.
Yeah. But also I do, at some point, I want to redesign the website. We hadn't really talked much about it, but if nobody objects, I want to make a separate dev site so it won't affect anything, but I'm planning to make a development site that's completely redesigned. That's using maybe it'll look similar to the postcards. That's not it. Where is it? Here. Yeah, it'll be kind of similar look to this with the kind of your fonts, and I like the way this looks. I was thinking maybe we could think about a tagline for our neighborhood. I had added the heart of East Portland to our website right here, but I wonder if there's like when the state of Oregon has a Travel Oregon
Right.
campaign, and they come up with a cute phrase or tag phrase.
Well, we still need a mission statement too, which, that's the other thing.
Yeah, we started working on our mission statement. The mission of our neighborhood association.
Yeah, so maybe we can revisit that, and the tagline, that would be something new that we could kind of look at all of that.
Yeah.
Well, while we're chewing on this, can I, we talked last year about kind of a version of the, an updated version of the welcome wagon concept, particularly for the apartment buildings in the neighborhood, right? Where people they don't even know where they are necessarily, much less feel invited. So I was wondering how people would feel. I think in terms of printing, the woman who runs that shop inside across from the Guerrilla Development Offices just west of the Hatch on Sandy, who did all those cool posters last spring and summer that were around the neighborhood. I bet we could get some kind of deal on printing through her. We might even talk to her about the postcard stuff too, but I was wondering how people would feel about if we took this, basically the postcard, both sides of the postcard, and had Josie put it on like an 8x10 or something like that, a 10x13 or whatever legal size piece of paper, and then got it printed. And then I'd be willing to go and distribute this in the lobbies and the bulletin boards of every new apartment building in the neighborhood, just so that people go, oh, look, there actually is something, and here's where I can find out more information about it.
Well,
I
Jay, yeah,
love that idea.
as soon as the postcard is finalized,
Okay, okay.
you
But
know.
are people still okay with that? Because I think the cost would be pretty minimal. I'm willing to donate the labor, and I think it would just really like reach the target audience. It's kind of like the same way Dave and I were talking the other day. We're all kind of graybeards, literally, and we need some like young, super tech social media person to get onto the board to help like distribute this crap through all the modern little, pathways that there are that most of us don't participate in.
Well, I do participate, but I don't have the time. I've got too many other obligations.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? I think younger people do like what you and I might find tiresome or wearisome. So they can do in like 30 seconds with their fingers of fury on
That's
their
true.
phone.
They have more time on their hands too. So that's a good idea.
Try to get, I'm sorry.
They have more time on their hands
No,
too,
I said-
and more energy.
No, I heard you. Martha is trying to get into the conversation. Please jump in.
Oh.
ma'am.
I think the postcard looks wonderful. I didn't have time to study it in detail, but it looks like the main side under the pictures of the people. It says that the Kerns meetings are at the Pacific Crest School on third Wednesdays. And during the pandemic, I think we're doing it Zoom. So,
Yeah,
so
this is another version, so I already know that. And
Oh,
older
okay.
the new version has that on there that isn't
Okay.
shown right now.
great.
Yeah,
And I guess we need to be flexible when they finally go out. It's whatever the current system is.
right.
People sign up for the newsletter.
What about it?
I said, how do people sign up for the newsletter?
Oh,
That's the way that they would find out how the meeting is conducted.
yeah, it's on our website. If you go to the website, you sign up for the newsletter there.
There's
There's
a link
also a
in the
link.
newsletter too.
Well, yeah, but you got to get the newsletter first.
That's true.
But there is a link on the postcard, but I think we should make a shortcut, Josie, so for Zoom, I made a shortcut. So it's kernspdx.org/Zoom. I could make a shortcut to sign up for the newsletter, kernspdx.org.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
We can make shortcuts for everything.
Well, that would be good.
Yeah, so that would be one suggestion. I'll share my screen again. For all of these links that are really long, we could just simply make a shortcut. For everything, it just be kernspdx.org/whatever. And then it could just shortcut to it. Some of them you don't need it, like instagram.com/kernspdx. But obviously this Facebook group you're not going to remember that. Oh yeah, we could change. Nextdoor no longer has an outer and inner Kerns. So
That's
a
right.
good
All that
thing.
needs changing.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the look of it is great. We just got to keep honing it. I like this art you found. I like the colors.
Might I suggest that we pare down some of the links on the postcard?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think maybe like maximum like 3, and then if they want to, if they go to the website, then they can click on all those other links.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what the QR code does. It goes to the website. So,
But for that,
Wouldn't it be easier just to keep the website updated instead? I don't know about all the technology, but it seems like it'd be easier to keep all the stuff in one place and keep it updated there.
yeah, and just drive everyone to the website. I mean,
well, that's
this
what
is
I
the-
was trying to do. And I wanted to get rid of some of those links because those links might change by the time we print.
Yeah,
Plus,
that's why.
like
make
Daniel
visually
suggested,
big.
there's too many. It's just visually confusing. I mean, I would look at this, I'm a Luddite, and I would look at this and be like, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? So
I
less,
agree.
Maybe
Yeah.
just one
So
link.
I can just put like 3 links, whatever links Dave chooses that we should have on there, and then a QR code going right to the website.
yeah, I think so.
Well, I mean, I'm not the one to choose, but I mean, we could as a group think about it. But
I have an idea.
Mhm.
So even if, when we get out of COVID and the meetings move over to the school, I mean, you could still do a Zoom meeting from there if people didn't want to come. So
That's true.
the Zoom meeting would be one you want to maintain or retain on here, the Zoom meeting sign up.
Yeah,
Question.
yeah, I think we want to, but I also want to redesign the website. I mean, it has a lot of good information, but it hasn't really been redesigned for a long time. But you can see all these links up here, you can sign up here. So there are a lot of things, but it just could use a redesign. But I do feel like on our banners, for example, we just want to have kernspdx.org, just one link to drive everyone to it. But then we want to make sure when they get to the site, they can find everything they want.
Mhm.
Yep.
So. All right.
Kerns emblem for a new flag or banner or whatever you're calling them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we all seem to like this. And I do. Was anyone here when they designed this? Were you here, Jay? When this?
No, if you can imagine, it was before my time.
Yeah, but I feel like it's good with the bicycle and the sunflower. What's interesting though is that how it kind of gets cut off, whereas on the street, does it go all the way around?
It does.
Yeah. So we should have a version that goes all the way around, but it's pretty cool.
Well, it's consistent. That's what I like. It's a nice thing and it's going to be consistent.
Yes, Martha.
I may be able to share some insight onto the Kerns logo. I think during the mayorship of Neil Goldschmidt, there was a great neighborhood movement, and he invited all the neighborhoods to develop flags. And I only know this because I was involved with the design of the Buckman flag. And so how many years ago? That was probably 35 years ago. And that's probably when Kerns got its logo, because all the flags were displayed in City Hall and they were really cool.
I can imagine.
That sounds right to me. That timing sounds exactly right. I think so.
Nice.
It was probably, let's see, my kids were going to Buckman School. It was probably at least 30 years ago.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Thank you,
Well, that's
Martha.
fascinating. I wonder if there's a picture of that somewhere. I can't find it, but that would be so cool. So Josie, great job. Let's just keep pushing on the postcard. For my part, I'm going to do a redesign, a separate redesign, and then I'll try to share it at the next meeting, or even before. I'll send a link.
Yeah, and if Dave, maybe we could work together on those links and you can get those situated and I can update all that stuff on the postcard.
Yeah, that sounds good. And we can coordinate the design, and maybe we can also do a mock-up of a design for the banner while we're at it, that kind of ties in together. While we're
well, I need more specifications on the banner before I would do that.
Sure,
Okay,
sure,
well, I
sure.
can take a stab, but also we should get pictures of those Hawthorne banners. Someone, whoever sees those next, take a picture and share it with the group.
That's a good idea.
So that, I mean, not that we want to copy theirs exactly, but gives us some idea.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, we could try to take pictures of any banner like that for whether it's Belmont or Beaumont or anything like that we see. We could have a collection of them for inspiration.
Great idea.
And then, yeah, I think if we can pull all this off with the banners, the postcards, the arches, the website, it'll all be a good thing.
Someone mentioned the picnic earlier, and
Mm.
I tried to find out from the city last week if they were in a position yet to have any idea whether they were going to suggest it, and they're like, way too early, can't say. Talk to us in June.
Well, I've started to see events for October, but I don't see any events for August right now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. They just announced that they're not going to do any of the summer music in the park series, except they're going to have one. It's pretty interesting and kind of weird in a way, but they're going to pay groups no larger than 3 people. So if you have a bigger group, you have to pare it down or whatever if they accept you, to pop up literally in a location in a park somewhere for an hour at a time with no advertising involved. They don't want to bring crowds. They want whoever just happens to be in the park to be treated to the music. And that's the only series that they're going to be sponsoring through the Parks and Rec this summer.
well, that's kind of cool.
In a kind of weird way, you know?
You have to be there though, kind of, by luck, actually.
Right. But again, they were saying, I applied for it the other day with one of my groups. They were just saying, we don't want you like promoting this on your gig list or anything. It's not.
Oh, yeah, right, because they don't want a crowd.
Fans to come. We just want it to be a surprise wherever it shows up. So anyway, but a pale shadow of the many things we've had in years past.
Yeah. I know, I miss the music and I miss all of that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Has anybody had their vaccines?
Got my first shot.
You got some? Great.
I've got
Oh.
one.
Wonderful. Sounds like a majority. I haven't had one yet, but hopefully soon.
Convention Center set up very well run.
Nice.
They've got the pharmacies at Walgreens and Safeways have gotten big doses, and they're
Nice.
I was having no luck getting on through the Oregon vaccine site, but I got on within like 4 days at Walgreens.
Well, I think I'll be next. I don't know, but we'll see.
Oregon, you just sign up and they contact you when they have something available. That's how that works.
I signed up on Plan Your Vaccine. That's the one I knew about. Is that what you guys did?
Right, but that's the one that's seeming to take longer. If you are at all concerned and want to get into it sooner, go to either Walgreens or Safeway and sign up on their sites, and then they just
Okay.
you have to look every couple of days, and they'll let you know if something's available, and you could put in, how many miles away from your home you're willing to travel.
Okay.
Did you get the
For-
Johnson & Johnson there, Jay?
No, I got the Pfizer. If you wanted more information about all this, Senator Dembro's daily thing has great updates on what's going on and who's getting doses and blah, blah, blah. And I really recommend it. Plus, he's got the links to all the different pharmacies and stuff right there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And man, I was originally trying to go to the airport because it seemed like it'd be a little even faster than the convention center. And I've heard horror stories about people waiting 4 hours at the airport in their car and stuff.
Yeah, I think that was one day. But if you don't want to be frustrated looking online for things, you just go to the Oregon Health Authority and website and you plug your information in and they send you an email when they have some sites available. So,
Yep.
Okay.
I was in and out of Walgreens in 15 minutes.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Okay. Well, good to know. Thanks for that information because, I'm trying to do what I hear on TV. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be great when everyone is vaccinated and we can get past this. It's already starting to happen. We just went down to the Ankeny Plaza and it was just packed with people. It felt almost like old times.
Hmm.
It was all outside, but it was just super happening. Should we move on to the next item on our agenda, which is houselessness, which I've been working hard on. And I have a couple of votes. We don't actually have a quorum though, but I would like to vote anyway. And the non-board members can vote too. The first item of business that I would like to just kind of recap is Representative Rob Noss, the state of Oregon, has been circulating a letter which he's really wanting to get all the neighborhoods to vote on because he's holding off to send it to the city and county, urging them to push forward on the sanctioned campgrounds and villages. And I don't think I've discussed it with us and everyone was kind of asking a lot of questions about it, but we haven't actually voted on it. And therefore, I wonder if I could get us to vote on whether we support Rob Noss's letter. I'm trying to pull it up here. Or if we want to revise it before we support it. But he actually contacted me recently and said, hey, let me know what you guys decide with that letter because he wants to add us as supporters. I'm going to share my screen here. So just to refresh your memory, from Rob Noss to Deborah Kafori and Dan Ryan of this county and the city, not a week goes by that I do not hear about some part of my district about the problem of the homeless, houseless people, and the fallout that occurs from sweeps, which are in theory on hold, but in reality continue to happen. This is not directly a state issue. I'm willing to accept that dodge. My constituents are crying for leadership. From some, I hear that the urban camping response model creates traumatic and life-threatening instability. I mean, I have circulated this before. I'm going to skip down to the bottom. I believe the time has come to allow for sanctioned camping. A sanctioned site is at its simplest a place where people can camp that is not subject to sweeps. These sites should be provided with hygiene stations, regular trash removal, small sites that are spread out all over the city, not just concentrated in large areas. And then he added this site. Additionally, the site should be small in numbers, should be required to have a modicum of self-governance. Lastly, there needs to be a way to allow neighborhoods and other groups to have input on siting and operation. I know this isn't a perfect solution, but the situation we have now is not working either and is worsening. So this is the gist of the letter. And I wonder what people think about it, if anybody would be willing to vote on it or support it or wants anything changed.
Well, I think that he specifically takes out parks as a possibility. Parks and yards and things like that. So my question is, what places are we talking about? What would be an example of a place where you would have,
No, that's a great question.
I think it's something like, a parking lot or a construction site where it's going to be some time until they can actually do their deconstruction or building or things like that. I think that there's a fairly across the board agreement that a lot of people are not happy about it in the public spaces that are supposed to be shared by all, like the parks and things like this.
Yeah, it would not be in parks at all. It would be in vacant lots or parking lots, or there are some public areas that are kind of not developed. And the letter isn't really trying to pinpoint exact locations, but it's trying to just push this concept that this is what we feel is a solution. Following up on this, I want to talk about this other organization I have, and they're locating church parking lots. There's a lot of churches in town, and almost all of them have a parking lot. And the idea is to put these little villages on the church parking lots. So that's probably one of the most feasible locations, because churches they're nonprofits, and their mission is typically to help the poor. So that's kind of the direction this is going in. Or Becky, there's that credit union, former credit union by Lloyd Center, that's sitting there totally vacant right now, which is commercial property, but in theory, that could be an example.
I mean, until Benson comes back.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a couple years, but these are all going to be managed. The whole idea is that they're managed. They usually have fences around them. They have social workers. They have good neighbor agreements that they don't make noise after a certain time. They're way better than what we have now.
Dave, can you by any chance pull up a picture? I think a good example would be that one that's down along Water Avenue, near on the road toward OMSI there.
Yeah, that's C3PO. Sure, I can pull up a picture of it.
I think that's what, for folks who are not familiar with that, I think that's what kind of Rob and other people are advocating for, which seems pretty reasonable considering, people not wanting it into a public parks and things like this.
Well, Lloyd Center has, Macy's is gone now. So, I mean, it doesn't have any big stores over there. I'm wondering if they could utilize a portion of the parking that's over there. I mean, the few stores that are left, don't need all that space. And I know that's not in our neighborhood. It just always comes to mind when we talk about using parking lots for things like, for this type of thing.
I know. I think that's a great idea. We have a part of it is liability issues with commercial spots. There has to be insurance, but I think part of the whole point is for the city to create a legal framework that makes it easier for these things to happen, including insurance. But no, that is a great idea, Becky, that Lloyd Center parking lot, which is huge.
That's just, I don't know if you're aware of the fact that, so that site has been under serious consideration for the proposed baseball stadium. And then after that maybe lost some support this past year, it was being considered for low-income housing because the mall itself has failed. Their multi-million-dollar investment of a couple of years ago didn't pay off. This is prior to the pandemic shutdown. And I think it's a failed commercial venture. So it's definitely on the chopping block one way or another.
Well, there's a parking lot across the street where the IMAX is.
Yeah, that was supposed to be 7 new huge residential towers. And they applied for the permits and got them and everything. And then I think it all stalled related to the pandemic and funding for it.
Right, and then we have the Pepsi project that's only going to be halfway, if that, right now, right?
Right, Dave's got some updated information on that too.
I actually talked to the Pepsi guy today for a long time, and so that I want to give an update on that a little bit later.
Okay. The only other comment I have is that I didn't see in the letter anything addressing density or capacity for neighborhoods.
Density,
right,
of these villages.
Right. So how many camps can a neighborhood hold, and how do we address that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like 1 per neighborhood is at least the current thinking. It's just, there's 95 neighborhoods. If every neighborhood had one village in it with, say 10 people, that's already 950 people right there. So I don't think we're talking about a lot. I mean, it would take a minor miracle to get most neighborhoods to do this. So even one. So I don't think we have to worry about being inundated with these.
Well, it's not inundated, it's, how many
Um,
camps can a neighborhood support? We have in Kerns, we have Sandy, which is a fairly commercial corridor. So it seems like that could handle more without undue stress,
mhm.
a lot of the neighbors and a lot of the residents. So maybe Kerns has a larger capacity than, say, a different neighborhood.
Right. Well, I would say, yeah, I mean, here's this point that he added is the sites should be small in their numbers. And then there should be a way to allow neighborhoods and other groups to have input on siting and operation. So it's nothing's going to be forced on us. It's just a matter of encouraging all neighborhoods to think about where, I mean, if we could accommodate just one such little village in our neighborhood, it would, even everyone goes a long way,
Yeah, I think Rob Noss's letter is also talking about that, about really, Dave has mentioned this before too, about spreading the responsibility, because there's a lot of ill will on the east side for that. A lot of the social service programs and the recovery programs and stuff all got dumped here in the 70s and 80s because the west side was able to advocate against them much more strongly. And so there's a historical frustration with that situation. If you read the lead article in today's Tribune, it talks about that a fair amount.
Yeah, I like to call it like a bed of nails, right? Like if you spread the nails around, you can lie down on it. But if you just have a couple of nails, you'll get impaled. So,
I have a quick comment. Wasn't there a city meeting today about houselessness and homelessness?
Yep.
Did anybody attend that, or?
No.
I don't know. I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I didn't.
What do you
I didn't
know about it?
Well, it's related to this, so that's why I was wondering.
Well, again, let me refer you to, I don't know if it was today, maybe it was just recently, but the lead article in the Tribune today is addressing this about how the city is aware of the fact, among other things, that the east side feels like the unfortunate stepchild that's already been put upon too much in the past.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but no, I'm talking about something different, where the city is actually talking about pretty closely to what we're talking about with the homeless and the mini village type situation, that kind of thing. I thought they were talking
about putting them in the parks. And
oh,
yeah, and I know what you're talking about, because you could write in, testify or whatever.
that's it. That's
I know what you're talking about. It's called shelter to
Yes. Housing.
Housing.
Yeah, and I'm not for the park, so that's.
No, I don't think most people don't want them in the parks. And if that's what, I think that's a problem, if that's going to be hold up these other things. It's not about putting them in the parks. It's about putting them in vacant lots, parking lots, private areas, privately owned areas, but not in the parks. I'm looking for the agenda for today's meeting. Council agenda, printable version. Let's see. Sorry, let's find it. I don't know. I don't know how to read these things very well. No, that's a good point, Josie. I had forgotten about that, but I heard that there was testimony. Shelter to housing continuum, I know, is what they were discussing.
Yeah.
There's also, let me inject really quickly some good news, that there's also an article about a huge, the Casa Hacienda project that's going to be built. That's very encouraging. That's a couple hundred housing units.
Great. Where's that going to be?
Is
You
that
know,
in Cully?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Where at, Jay?
You know, I scanned the article really quick, so I didn't scope the address.
I
But
think
it's
it's in Cully,
again,
Cully neighborhood.
it's in today's Tribune.
I'll grab one, but I think it's in Cully neighborhood.
Okay.
Could I put a motion to vote on whether we want to support Rob Noss's letter?
I feel like I'm a negative ninny here all the time, but I'm going to just say something about these campsites and stuff. And, you know, between the park thing and Noss's stuff, I would support Noss more. But my concern is that, and I don't know if this happens down at 3CPO or C3PO, whichever way that goes. But I would think that once facilities become available to a group, you know, and let's say it's in a church parking lot, and you know, and there are rules established, that type of thing, then people are going to start camping along the perimeter out there just so that they can utilize the facilities and not have the rules around them. So what I'm hoping maybe be incorporated into the letter is something about, you know, that the city has to enforce whatever the law is for not sleeping, you know, just putting up camp wherever they want to, type of thing, whatever that law is.
Yeah, well, all those camps discourage other tents to go up nearby for that exact reason. So that is something, they don't want it to be just like the center of, you know, hundreds of
A
tents.
sprawl.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually the people who live there are told to discourage other people from living nearby just for that exact reason.
But it's a really good point to be concerned about, though, because, you know, in our own, well, I guess right next to our own neighborhood, look, I don't know how many people have followed over the years the St. Francis dining hall scenario, you know, but that just turned into a flippant nightmare, you know, of just like a burnout Beirut kind of for blocks around there, as people gravitated toward that because of the support of the food.
Well, and that's the bed of nails thing. That's why, what if you have it all over the city, so there's not one place where everybody gravitates?
Right. I get it. I totally get it. But I still think that's a good point. I mean, look, they just swept Laurelhurst, the South Street next to Laurelhurst a month ago, and it's full again.
Yeah, it's filling up again.
And
Well,
what happens, you know, they're talking about bringing back kids to elementary schools in a couple of weeks, part-time. I wouldn't want my kid to go out on the playground behind Sunnyside Elementary right now.
No, definitely not.
That's just it. Right now, it's just willy-nilly. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no order. And that's what this is, an attempt to create something that has some order to it.
I get it.
Yeah, and it's not perfect, and it's not, but it's just like right now there's chaos, and people are in the parks and they are in the schools. So we're trying to create just in one step away from that, where you know, there's social workers, and there's garbage collection, and there's toilets, and there's accountability, and there's good neighbor agreements, and it's not going to be all at once, but it's just one little step at a time.
Well, another thing too, I've noticed at night when it's like, you know, these really cold evenings, like 29 degrees, there'll be one homeless person that's not in a shelter, and, you know, they're freezing, you know, and you can hear them walking up and down the street at night, yelling and stuff. You know, I'm hoping that will alleviate that they'll get some help besides shelter, but some mental help.
Well, that's, you know, everybody agrees, Josie, that a big part of this problem is the lack of follow through and coordination with a lot of the mental health services and stuff, you know, and there's people that are clearly in dire straits, you know, that need all kinds of support and counseling that they're not getting. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Can I add one other idea that I have? Is that when they were doing the sweep at Laurelhurst, I know they gave the people time they alerted them ahead of time that there was going to be a sweep, right? To encourage them to leave themselves, because I guess with these sweeps, a lot of people lose their belongings and everything because, they get swept as opposed to leaving ahead of time.
Right. Well, they also offered them the option to transition over to another site.
Well, and they also offered them homeless, the shelters.
Right.
And people said, no, I don't want to go to a shelter. And they said they get bed bugs there. They said there's no privacy. They say that, what was the other thing that they said? Oh, and their possessions get stolen. So I've been thinking about this and I'm like, why don't we fix the shelters to where they're kind of accommodate what the problems are? In other words, instead of having a big room, I don't know what the shelters, I haven't been in these shelters. I've been in a temporary shelter volunteering, but it was just a seasonal thing. And I don't know if the shelters here in town are year round and 24/7 or whatever. But if they're 24/7 shelters and the people don't want to go there because of certain situations, and I'm sure another one's going to be that they're rules, but if you can make them the shelters in such a way that there is privacy, that there are rooms that they can lock and put their belongings in, where that if they are going out and looking for a job during the day, that their stuff is safe and they can come back to some privacy, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So
A lot of those
my
situations.
thought was,
Go ahead, please.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I didn't mean to interrupt anybody. I just wanted to say that a lot of those situations, like you're proposing, ideally don't exist because of finances. And also a lot of the long established homeless shelters are run by private, entities, by church entities. And they're, social service programs, and they are not government regulated in any way. They do things the way they want to do them. So one place will have this rule and another place will have that rule. There isn't a uniformity of conduct or code for the different shelters.
I didn't know that, but the thing about the money, so that's supposed to be like coming in April, I guess, starting to come in, the measure that was passed last November, and for I think the corporations and higher up, salaried people and stuff are supposed to be funding this new homeless fund or whatever. But anyway, that was another idea I had, and I didn't know if that could be put in, Rob. But if everything is not, there's no umbrella organization over these shelters, and everything is just kind of, independent, then I don't see that could be addressed with, suggesting that. Sounds like it has one-offs type of thing. So, thanks for listening.
Yes, Martha.
Well, I'm not a member of the board, but I do support the letter, and particularly because our representative says giving people places to go that aren't public parks, schools, and neighborhood rights of way ensures that these public spaces remain usable for all community members. So I support this letter that our representative is writing to the city and county.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect. It doesn't have all the details. It's just kind of a general, do we support it or not? And Becky, to your point, I feel like these are exactly what you're describing as a shelter where people can have privacy. They can keep their things in their little tiny house. They have a little bit more independence. They're self-governing. It's like an alternate place for people that don't want to go to the shelters. It is a form of shelter, but it's just kind of one that they're more likely to go to.
Right.
I'd like to just take an up or down vote. It's fine if you vote no. We don't even have a quorum, so it's actually not binding at this point. But does anyone second it? I propose we vote on this letter, whether an up or down vote. Any second?
Seconded.
Okay. All who support this letter, and this can include non-board members, all who want to vote to support it, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Yay, Becky said yes. All opposed? Any opposed? How about abstain? Elliot or Marcia?
I was gonna vote aye. I just was busy with something.
Okay, great. And Marcia, welcome. I'm not sure I know you, but do you have an opinion on this? I think everyone else, everyone was in favor as far as I know. Well, thank you all very much for discussing this topic. I just, you know, I just wanted to get an up or down vote. That's all. I do, I do want to. I had on the agenda another very related thing, but hopefully a little bit different. So Martha and I are both part of this new group called We Shine, which was started about 3 weeks ago by a woman in Laurelhurst named Jan McManus. I don't know if any of you know her, but Janet McManus is a retired social worker, and she lives in Laurelhurst, and she's gotten super busy. And what we're doing is responding to the Joint Office of Homeless Service request for programmatic. So the Joint Office, I gotta fix this, but the Joint Office of Homeless Services has a deadline today for this application for grants for ideas for houseless solutions. So very much what we're talking about here. So Martha and I are part of this group that's got people from Laurelhurst, from Kerns, and from Sullivan's Gulch. This is the people so far. And anybody here who's interested in joining, please let me know and we can invite you on. It's basically what we're talking about, but the difference is that we actually already have a partner, which is called Cascadia Clusters. I don't know if anyone's heard of them, but they're an organization who's they're already building structures. They already have all these. They've been working on C3PO and Agape Village, and we're in talks with different churches. There's actually one in Irvington, which is the Winchester. No, what's it called, Martha? The church.
It's the Westminster Presbyterian.
Yeah, Westminster. I wanted to say Winchester, but it's Westminster Presbyterian in Irvington. Is thinking about putting one of these in their parking lot. So I just want to draw your attention to this group, which is very much, it's applied for a grant, and we're going to find out soon whether we get that grant. So I personally think church parking lots are the perfect place, because you have this church that's kind of going to be in charge of it, and make sure, it's on their property, so they're not going to let it get out of control. It's private, it's not public. There's church parking lots all over town. But anyway, anyone should feel free to go to this website. It's weshinepdx.org, and Kerns is one of the founding organizations. So yeah.
That's great. What about that church that's where we've been having the cleanup for the past few years? Down on 20th. They have those two huge parking lots, and that's a pretty progressive whatever you call it, congregation or something. I wonder if they'd use one of their parking lots for one of these.
We're reaching out to, Dave Brooks of Sullivan's Gulch is he's in touch with, I guess, the faith community. There's like a coalition of churches. And so I think we're going to essentially reach out to all churches and synagogues and temples. But I think we should think about Kerns, let's think about any churches in our neighborhood. Because that's, the idea is it's, rather than nominating other neighborhoods.
Right. It just occurred to me because it's a big site.
But what churches do we have? We have the Tower Church, the Stone Tower Church. We have, there's that church right next to the Mann House. I mean, we have a lot of churches, the Greek Orthodox Church. There's also the Norse Hall, which isn't a church, but, you know, I mean, we have so many, there's so many potential places. Yeah.
A lot of those you just named don't have big parking lots.
Well, that's just it. You don't need a big parking lot. Cascadia Clusters thinks in groups of 6.
Mhm.
They have the concept of a cluster of 6 shelters, which takes between 12 and 20 parking spots.
Okay.
And the idea is to keep it really small and just have like a bunch of them around, you know, rather than like a big one. So I just wanted to draw your attention to this group. Maybe next month we can discuss it more. Hopefully they'll get funded, or we'll get funded. But this is a very specific, concrete example of what we're trying to do, as opposed to Rob's letter, which is more abstract.
Yeah.
What if you don't get funded? What happens to the group?
Well, we might try to get a different source of funding, because we have such a good synergy right now. You know, Cascadia Clusters is a very small organization, and they were kind of running out of steam, I would say. That's what it sounded like. They don't have a very big board. They didn't really have many places to go. And when they found us, they were so excited to have a group of advocates. So we've kind of
That's
created
awesome.
this marriage of people on the ground that are building things versus people that are like more like idealistic but don't really have anything on the ground. And then when you combine that with the churches and the the faith-based community that have all these parking lots and probably other land that nobody's really doing anything with, so it's kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of a win-win-win kind of situation. I do think we
Do
could.
these little pods have restrooms in them?
Well, you would have probably a shared restroom and a shared kitchen area.
Oh,
I've
okay.
heard that one reason to do that is that people don't just lock up in their house and don't come out. Of course, we have the luxury of doing that in our houses, so maybe they should too. But forms of community. No, that's a good question, and but I don't know if like Dignity Village has any bathrooms in their houses or not.
I don't
But
think so. I
yeah,
don't think so.
it's just a kind of a different model.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Thanks for talking
pretty
about
cool.
this topic. Yeah.
Hey, before I forget, can I jump in and just say that in case anybody's wondering, we about the 24th and Everett Street Calming mural that we've been doing for 7 or 8 years now. I talked to Village Building Convergence, who's been kind of our liaison with the city and materials and stuff. And once again, they're like too early to say. Normally this is right about now. We start planning for it to do it at the end of June or July traditionally. And they've said, just, hold off. We can't tell you yet whether it's going to be viable to do that or not this year.
Okay.
It still needs to be resurfaced. I think doesn't the street need to be resurfaced there? It looks.
It does, although I haven't been able to get any sort of response from Peabody if they're going to do that.
Okay. And supporting our local business.
Oh, good. What are you eating?
Pizza again.
Oh, nice. From
Davivi.
Ricardo or Davivi? Yeah.
Daniel, where's that place that you said that you liked?
So it's actually my partner's favorite pizza place in the whole city. It's called Dimo's a Pizza, and it's he's from New England, and it's a New England style pizza.
Where is that?
I mean, have a lot of attitude or something?
Yeah, they're really rude to you when you order. So no, it's 7th and Burnside.
Okay.
It's where Burnside Brewing used to be.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
That's in Kerns. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Kerns, and it's great. It really is pretty good.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about another related topic to houselessness, which is garbage. And this is the Pepsi building right now. And this is near where Martha lives. And Martha, if you do want to join a little bit on this, I talked to the guy, Gus. He came and presented at our neighborhood meeting about a year ago, but we had a really good long conversation. The city has been, believe it or not, taking garbage away from here, but it's just not enough. Um, and so I would like to organize a dumpster cleanup of this. This is, there's actually two pictures. This is what's down there right now. And Martha, you live right there, right? Or near there? Does this look accurate
Yeah.
to you?
The pictures make it look better than it actually is.
Okay, so it's
It
even
is
worse
the
than
most,
that.
it's like a third world situation where
Yeah.
people are living in the dump, and
Yeah.
I am so afraid there's going to be a fire that's going to rip through there, and we're going to have 3 dead people.
Yeah.
Are people
So-
in there now?
Oh yeah, people live right in that stuff.
Well, so that's their stuff.
That's their stuff.
Yeah.
Clearly there's got to be some mental health issues, and who knows what's going on, but it is a
So
terrible situation.
I would like to, so Sunnyside neighborhood had this exact same situation over by the former Ben and Jerry's. And what they did is they partnered with the businesses. They got a dumpster, and they brought about 30 people from the neighborhood out and just filled up the dumpster and had it hauled away. Now this is obviously many dumpsters worth. But the guy from Pepsi building said he would contribute money. I know there's nearby businesses that would contribute money. We could do a crowdfunding. Dumpsters cost between like $200 and $300. So I'm planning to do a dumpster cleanup, because the city is actually hauling trash away every week, but they're very limited what they can do. And I think what it's going to take is just about 10 dumpsters worth, probably just on an ongoing basis, like one dumpster every 2 weeks or something.
Dave, I have to ask the obvious question. How are you going to deal with people who are there going, leave my goddamn stuff alone?
Right.
What you have to do is you have to have a liaison go talk to them, whether it's me or someone else. I don't know. I haven't had any shots, but there's people that are happy to be liaisons. There's a person named Raven Drake that is part of We Shine, and Raven is formerly a houseless person, and she likes to do this kind of outreach. Was with Street Roots, or maybe still is, and also involved with C3PO. So
okay, the only reason I mention this is because, as like Martha said, there's clearly, and this is one of my real frustrations with a lot of the homeless or the houseless issues, is that there's clearly like this magpie mental health thing going on, because if I were camping on the street, I don't think I'd be inclined to haul all these varieties of weird crap and have it all around me, and yet you see it repeating itself over and over around town. And so there's clearly some kind, and it's not things are necessarily being used as part of the survival scenario. It's just like this tendency to grab all this sort of random crap and bring it around. And it's very disconcerting. And I wonder if someone who's in the state that they think that's okay will be comfortable being told, hey, this is junk and we want to take it away.
No, well, I don't think it would be like that. I think it would be like we have a liaison that talks to them and say, we're going to put a dumpster out here, and then we get them to help us and help us throw stuff in the dumpster.
I great idea in theory, but I think you're dealing with people. Why would they want to help get rid of their stuff? It's their stuff that they brought there in the first place.
It's been pointed out that, each of us, like our household generates, garbage every week, and we put it in the garbage can. As a matter of fact, I see a garbage can here, but I don't think it's quite what you think it is. I think that they would like to get rid of it. They probably go around collecting things and then keep what they want, and then this is probably their garbage can, and they want to get rid of it, but they don't have a dumpster. I might be wrong. I know in Sunnyside, they cooperated with the people. They're like, okay, whatever you don't want us to throw away, put it in your tent or whatever. And then, they worked with them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think it just has to be tried, and maybe you're right. Maybe it would fail, but no one's coming to the rescue here. We have to rescue ourselves.
Mm.
The city is like 30 days backed up if you open a ticket with them, and they do have a minimal amount they can take away. But um, I feel like I already can, based on what the Pepsi guy told me. I think we could probably fund a dumpster pretty quickly without that, without us even investing in it.
Sure.
I don't know, Martha wants to help, right?
Worker bee.
Yeah, and we can gather neighbors, I could also set up an official Solve event, and this is beyond a normal Solve event, but Solve actually is developing some specialists to deal with homeless camps. So it's like a special task force. But then we could have a Solve event in the surrounding blocks where you just pick up the regular litter. But I feel like we can gather a bunch of volunteers to you got to bring gloves, you got to bring masks and shovels, and but something's got to be done,
I agree something has to be done, but I don't want to be the one that comes in person to do it. That's just me, Josie.
Well, could you help spread the word in that way? You don't have
I
to
could do
actually
that,
be there. Yeah. Everyone can do something, whether
My
it's just
my concern, Dave, is that I think it's a great idea. I agree with you that something has to be done. I'm just concerned for the welfare of the participants.
Well, what I've found with, I'm a part of the Sunnyside committee. I live about 4 blocks from Sunnyside, and our son went to Sunnyside grade school. We're in the Sunnyside district, so I have a little connection with them. That group is so gung ho and can do, and they're taking the homeless to get showers. They're giving them free food every day. I mean, that group is so on the ground, and I just feel like our neighborhood needs to get more on the ground. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of people in Kerns that don't know about Kerns Neighborhood Association,
Sure.
and if they knew about it, they would be more hands-on. And I don't expect everyone here to do it. I'm reluctant to do it, but I'm planning to go in person and just wear 2 or 3 layers of masks and 2 or 3 layers of gloves, and but I also think a lot of the homeless people would actually throw stuff in the dumpster. I think that if it was there, they would actually be happy to throw their stuff. They just don't have anywhere to put it. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's only one way to find out.
Yeah.
Hang out.
I've been thinking about this for a few years, and it's just for many years actually, because it's not, the problem hasn't been this great before, but it's been around, and I've just always been mystified about why there's this. It literally is almost like reminding me of like the way magpies, just anything that strikes their fancy, they bring to the nest, whether they need it or not.
Can I speak?
Sure.
I'm Marsha. I'm not a board member,
Hi.
but and
That's fine.
I just joined a little late because I forgot. But sometimes it just hits me right in the heart that we talk about people as if they're the other again. Now, we're talking about all this. I don't understand why they're carting around all these things. And if I were on the street, which I've at times thought I might be, I have things in my apartment. You all have things in your house that are possessions. People on the street, that's all that they have. That's all that they have. And we're talking as if, oh, well, I don't understand it. Why can't they just remove it? Why don't they dump some of this thing they're hauling around, these things? And, it just breaks my heart. That's all. That's their whole lives. And some of these people do not have mental issues. Some of these people have no money. Some of these people lost their jobs. Some of these, and so I think we need to, for me, it's getting these people off the streets. That's the number one. Obviously, we need to, help and support in this transition of people carrying around all these things. It's our neighborhood, right? It's all of our neighborhoods. And I'm at this point, I got both my shots, and if I were in a different position, I would be out in the streets helping on the ground level, but I can't at this point. So I'm thinking in terms of housing, because I did in 2016, I was part of that testifying for to our legislatures about trying not to do no-cause evictions, and we got that bill passed. But I'm sorry, I'm getting off the track here, but all of these things need to be hand in hand. We need to have people on the streets, and I would be more willing to do part of finding ways, like talking about what you just talked about. I did not know about We Shine and about Cascadia clusters. I'd be really interested. I'm going to follow up on that. But
Yeah, well, by all
anyway.
means, yeah. Thank you so much, Marcia. It's good to see you here. I don't remember seeing you here before, but I hope you will come back in the future. I mean, it's true that, compassion is important. Maybe in the future we could get one of these residents to join our Zoom meeting. A lot of them have cell phones, and I'm in some houselessness groups, and that is something we talk about, is that we should get the voices of these people at these meetings, and they can explain what's happening. So thank you. We Shine is a brand new group. It just started about 3 weeks ago, so that probably explains why you haven't heard of us. But that's, everyone has to try in their own way. But Martha and I think are going to be the two of the core organizers of this cleanup, right, Martha? Martha lives near there, and you kind of emailed us and said help, and so let's help. The guy that runs the Pepsi building, he said he's going to donate money. So, and there's some other businesses around, and I can set up a fundraiser. So, anyone else want to add anything?
Well, I want
Oh, sorry, Rebecca.
Yeah.
I was just wondering about the Pepsi, property. Is some of the camping on the property, or is it just by the property? I can't really tell.
I think it's by the property. He said it used to be. I talked to Gus 45 minutes today. He said it used to be on the property, and now it's just next to the property. He had some real stories to tell too, about people that were like stealing water, stealing electricity. They were like in the building cutting wires on live power supplies and almost get electrocuted.
Oh, gosh.
It was just like insane stories. But anyway, what were you going to say, Becky? Rebecca?
I just said I wanted to volunteer. I guess I need to be on the Solve team.
Yeah, I'll definitely spread the word. But yeah, the Kerns Solve team is a team I started about a year and a half ago, and originally just for cleanups on the small level, but it's now it's gonna be, this will be the Solve team, and then also the houseless issues in general. But yeah, I appreciate that. Not everybody wants to do this, and it's not for everybody. I wanted to sign up for the Sunnyside one, but they were at capacity. So we can also get people from other neighborhoods to help us. But I feel like there's also a lot of young people, that have a lot of energy and strength, and they don't. I was saying this the other day. I feel like inside of everybody is a civic activist wanting to get out if they only knew it. I think that's particularly true of young people, 20 somethings. They just need to be given opportunities.
Put it out next door when you determine what day it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm thinking about 2 Saturdays from now. But we'll have to coordinate. But thank you. And if you could just help spread the word, or even I'll put up a fundraiser somewhere, and we could put in $10, do a crowd fund, for the dumpsters.
Well, Dave, if you let me know the dates, I can put it in the e-news, if I know
Okay.
the dates.
I feel like it's going to have to be an ongoing thing, like once or twice a month, because, and it probably, one dumpster might not make a big dent, but, somehow or other, there's another idea that we haven't talked about is more aesthetic improvements. There might be ways to aesthetically improve the situation, that's a little bit different from dumping it in the trash, helping the people make it look better. That's maybe another thought that comes to mind. But anyway, I don't want to over talk about this issue, but it's important. And there's other parts of the neighborhood, like the Sunshine Dairy has something similar. As a matter of fact, if anybody knows of other trash heaps like this, please let me know and let's clean those up too.
Sunshine Dairy one has gotten really eerie recently. They've now, the 5 or 6 different separate campsites are now all pretty much covered by large tarps. So it's kind of like a enclosed hovel now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It reminds me of those, I saw, is it Meilon, the Chinese movie about the female warrior. And there's these Chinese villages that is like one big building with a courtyard in the middle with like 30 families. That's kind of what you just described a little bit. Mulan, that's what I was trying to think of. All right, so I think that's all I had on the agenda. Does anyone want to talk about anything else? Martha?
Well, I'm really excited about Jay's suggestion to have great big letters that say Kerns. And I'm going to try a share screen. I don't know if this will work or not. So hold on.
All right. Hey, Martha, while you're doing that, did you live for a long time on 26th or 27th? And
Yeah, I think we know each other.
yeah, we were neighbors for a long time.
Are you seeing La Paz on your screen? I have no idea what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Big letters?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we see it.
Wouldn't that be cool if that was Kerns?
Yes, it would.
Yes.
We just need that ocean.
Yeah, the Pacific Ocean helps.
I wanted to pull up the picture Daniel shared too, which is, shoot, I lost it.
We saw it briefly about 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah. That was a similar one. Very cool. Tell us about that La Paz, Martha.
Well, La Paz is a city on the east side of the Baja Peninsula. And it's an old Mexican city. And here were these great letters, and people, tourists like us, are crawling on them, and kids are crawling on them, and parents are taking pictures. So if we had big Kerns letters, people from all over the world would be taking pictures of them.
There you go.
And I don't know of anything else like that in the Portland area.
Yeah, here's Daniel's letters.
Yeah, Filipino town.
Yeah,
Great.
Nice.
Great. Well, the ones I was referring to, I've seen all over like Scandinavia and Copenhagen and Stockholm and and usually like outside of the local art museum or something like that. They're just big, huge, for some reason, a lot of them tend to be red. Letters they're like an outdoor architectural feature, but like Martha's saying, people were all over, were taking pictures and posing and stuff. And that's the one that stuck in my mind.
I think that's actually a really good idea. And my partner,
I like it.
My partner just brought up also that so many people, especially younger people, use those and put them on Instagram. And that's a way of kind of marking where they've been, where they're in. So if we could find a location for that, that would actually be a relatively easy thing to do as well. That's not super difficult to make. So whoever artist would want to do that. So we could look into a location.
Right. Now, that also might be, I remembered the name of the man from American Property Management who owns all those, which is Joe Weston. And he's the one who said he would support us 25% of whatever we decide to do. He also might be able to support us with a location on one of his multitudinous properties in the neighborhood for
Nice.
something
There you
like.
go.
Was this a part of the gate idea? Is this in addition to?
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
okay. And I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you discussed it before, but is that still in the works, the kind of bridge gate thing?
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah.
What about Oregon Park for the letters?
Might be a good idea, although I think something more that's, has more traffic, that's kind of more in the midst of the neighborhood. So I sort of think something that's maybe more visible to a larger.
I was
public.
thinking like down at that 7th and Burnside where that pizza place is, and there's like a little parking lot there. When you cross the Burnside Bridge into Kerns, basically, that gets a
Yeah.
lot of traffic.
Right,
Or
right.
something on Sandy, tons of traffic on Sandy.
Joe Weston owns the old 7-Up bottling plant on
mm,
Yep,
Beach and must be east of 12th.
right,
uh-huh.
right.
When you're
That's
coming up Sandy, you're not very far from there and you're sort of entering the neighborhood.
right. That's kind of the area I was thinking of. But that's also slated for massive redevelopment. He's going to build some big apartments there. But again, maybe we could say, hey, would you consider, sticking this on the corner as part of your apartment project or something?
You know what else? Kerns has so many large, like we have the Franz Bakery bread that spins around, and we have the Sunshine Dairy milk carton and the
Oh,
7-Up
put it up.
thing. We're kind of famous for large food containers and food processing plants. So maybe we need to incorporate that into it somehow.
Okay, another idea, Kern's totem pole.
Good idea. Yeah, I love the brainstorming. Let's keep it up. Do a rendering.
So people are thinking about putting them up on top of a building or something? Is that what we're talking about? When you say Sandy, I mean, these are all major
Mm.
thoroughways. and
I
stuff.
hadn't, but that's a great idea. I
Yeah.
gotta go, y'all.
Yeah, we should cut it off.
Everyone.
Hey, thanks for
All
joining,
right.
everybody. Nice to see the newcomers, Marcia. And we had a couple of other newcomers who we didn't speak, but they were here. Thank you, everybody, for everything you do. And let's keep it going online.
Dave,
Thank you.
thank you.
Bye.
How do I get a
Thank
hold
you
of you,
all.
David, about the Shine?
Oh,
the
yeah,
Shine?
yeah, definitely. WeShine.org. WeShinePDX.org is that website.
Are you one of the organizers then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That is a brand new group, but check it
Okay.
out. Yeah.
Will you have any info on the Kerns newsletter or website at all about that? Okay, so
About WeShine.
or about housing or anything, yeah.
I mean, yeah, we usually have a lot. Josie puts a lot of information on the newsletter.
Okay.
But by all means, sign up for the newsletter and contact me, and I'll get you on some lists.
You mean on the WeShine or because I have the Kerns newsletter.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, check it. I mean, the WeShine is brand new. It like started like 3 weeks ago, and the website went up about 10 days ago. So
So you don't even have a newsletter yet.
there's no newsletter for that group yet,
okay.
but you could join the group.
Okay.
And then
Website?
WeShinePDX.org.
Okay.
No, you can join on the website.
You can send an email and I'll add you. I'll talk to you and see if you want to join the team, basically. Or there's not really a newsletter, but if you want the latest news, there's actually a Facebook group for it, but nobody's joined yet. But if you join, I'll keep you posted on there.
Is there any phone? There's no phone contact for anybody on WeShine?
I'm one of the founders of it, and I'm the guy that runs the website. And we have a project management site where we kind of go back and forth. The big news is that today they submitted the grant application to the joint office, and that was a big grant that we're putting together. And then we're going to wait to hear whether we get it or not. But if we don't, then I think we have such a good organization that we're going to probably look for other grants. But the idea is we're going to put these mini clusters of housing on probably church parking lots all over. My vision is every church parking lot in town, but
Right.
whoever will take it, you know.
Yeah.
But they'll be well managed. They're actually very expensive with social workers and all kinds of, you know, things in place so that it doesn't go out of control. But it's going to provide a lot of social services for the people. And, you know, in an ideal world, these people will find housing, and then they'll get new people and they'll find housing, and it'll be, you know, transitional. Yeah. And actually, a lot of these have been very successful with finding people apartments and jobs and things. So people just need a a transition, so that to have a place to take a shower and sleep and look for a job and an apartment, and they do end up transitioning to more permanent housing. So
Well, lastly, I just want to say, I hope people didn't think I was insinuating that people didn't have empathy when I spoke. I sort of came in, it was kind of out of context, but I feel so heartfelt about what's happening with the houseless population. It just drives me insane.
yeah,
But I hope nobody took offense.
I think you were just speaking from your heart, and that's fine. You know, people have different angles on things. You know, some people think of it more from the perspective of one person. Some people think of it more from, you know, their own perspective. You know, they're more like, but no, I didn't take it that way.
Well, and I didn't mean for people to think that they were thinking that people are a nuisance, but I don't know. I just got.
There's a lot of emotions around it. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I know.
You know,
I know.
and
Well, it's a difficult and complicated situation for everybody, no doubt.
yeah, well, it's good to have your voice here, and I hope you'll come back to future meetings,
Okay.
Marcia.
Thank you so much.
Becky, it's great to have you too
Thank you.
coming to these meetings.
Well, I want to be on the We
We
Shine.
Shine. Yeah, I'll
Yes.
send you an email. I'll get you hooked up with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
interested in that.
Yes,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Stay
Wonderful.
safe.
Nice
Okay.
meeting you, Marcia.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you.
Bye.
We'll see you. Okay, bye.